Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. This is Ozark Living, and in today's video, we're talking a little bit about lakefront versus off-lake options. Let's check it out. All right, hey guys, my name is Scott, and if this is your first time visiting the channel, welcome, thank you, and while you're here, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell, because every Tuesday and Thursday, I'm dropping a new video telling you everything you need to know about moving to or living in Lake of the Ozarks. We're also a group of licensed lenders and agents, so as much as I love making these videos, I would love even more to help you with your lending or real estate needs. So that number popping up below, I am the guy who answers the phone calls, the text messages, and the emails. If there's a question, a scenario, or just something I can do, please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. Till then, we wanted to talk a little bit about lakefront versus off-lake options. So first off, let's go ahead and pull up a map of Missouri. On one side, you have St. Louis. On the other side, you have Kansas City. Go to the middle, go down, and that's where you're gonna find the lake. So the more we have conversations with people, the more they're asking questions about, hey, what are some of my options? What does lakefront look like? And then, hey, what does off-lake look like? So we wanted to talk a little bit about that because the majority of everybody that's coming down to this area comes down because of the water, right? That's the main attraction why everybody's here. However, it's not always the main reason or where people choose to purchase. And if we're looking at a comparison, or we wanted to talk a little bit about the differences, or maybe the pros and cons, or however you want to phrase it, the first thing you got to think about and talk about is going to be affordability, right? And so with affordability, if you had a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, maybe 2,500 square foot home, that home lakefront clearly is going to have a different cost than that home off lake, right? So cost and affordability, we know that if you are lakefront, it's going to be more of a cost for that home. If you're off lake, you're going to have a lower suppressed price point. So depending on your needs, depending on your wants, depending on your budget, right, is going to depend on whether or not you're going to go lakefront or potentially off lake. You know, outside of like the cost consideration and affordability comes just availability in general, right? And we know that, you know, those looking for very specific bedrooms and very specific bathrooms, and they want it on the lake, they might have to wait a little bit longer. Those homes might take a little bit longer to pop up. There's maybe not as much inventory with lakefront options as there would be with some off-lake options. So that goes back to you, right? That goes back to the time frame that you have to move down here. Some folks have to move sooner than later, or some folks have more time to shop. So personal preference, right? Whatever works best for you. But if having to move now is a big consideration, then you might want to look at something off lake, just so you have more availability and more options than waiting for that perfect lakefront home to come up. You know, but again, if you need that lakefront and that is your main desire and that's your main need and want, then obviously you're just going to have to go through those progressions, and you know, hopefully that right property pops up in the right amount of time. Another thing when people are talking about lakefront versus off lake is going to be access to the lake. And we know that if you're living lakefront, you're doing that because you want the water directly out your back door, right? You want to walk out back, go to the dock, get on your boat and go. And so having access easily on lakefront is a big draw and a big attraction and a big why that people are moving down. But those folks that are doing off-lake options, they're doing it knowing that they have a marina that's close by, or they have a cove or a dock or a slip, someplace where they can put their boat, so they have easy access. They just have to maybe drive a little bit, and that could just be across the road. That could be maybe a 5-minute drive, but whatever that looks like, if the desire is to still have lake life, right, and you still want the boat and you want the fun and the lakeside restaurants, cool, you can still live off lake. Take your car or maybe a golf cart or a side-by-side and go down to the marina or your dock, hop on your boat and go. And so that goes back to, you know, still having access, maybe at a lower price point, with maybe more availability if you're willing or able to step off of the lake a little bit. And again, if you have to be on the lake and you have to have that water directly out the back, then that's cool too, but just something to think about and something to consider. So another thing to think about and consider when you're looking at lakefront versus off lake is, you know, maybe the property or the elbow space that you have with the property, and knowing that when they built these lakefront homes, they built them with so much space in between each home. They're pretty much going to be maybe 20 yards or so, 30 yards away from one another, which is probably a bigger distance than maybe some of those that are in bigger cities and in suburban areas, right? Like we live in Colorado half of the time, and so when we're here, our homes are really close together, and a lot of people we talk to in Chicago or California or St. Louis or Kansas City, those homes can be built really, really close, and that's kind of what it's like when you're on lakefront. They're not super close, but they are closer to one another. They wanted to maximize that opportunity and put as many homes as they could on lakefront options. And when you step off the lake, what you get is a whole bunch of elbow space and room. And the more we talk to people and the more we're looking and having conversations, there is a desire to have elbow space and room and acre or 5 or something like that. They want big properties with a lot of space. They're tired of being congested next to their neighbors. And so something to think about and consider if you're okay with having access to the water or driving to the marina, whether that's a 5-minute drive or whatever, but you want acres, right? Or you want a big plot of land and a big property and you want some elbow space from your neighbors, man, off-lake options are a great choice, right? We've been showing some really great properties that have beautiful homes on them, big expansive lots, wooded areas around them. They even have 5 to 10 car garages that are offset from the property. And so if you need space for your toys or you need a shop to do some work in, a lot of these properties are going to have that shop that's part of the property. It's just going to sit away from the house a little bit. So super cool, something to think about and consider, still having access to the water and everything lake life, but now you have a property that's off the water with a lot of room, right? Maybe some acreage, or maybe you can even get some animals, things of that nature. So something to think about and consider when you're stepping off the water. And probably one of the last things to talk about is just going to be the investment part of it as well, and the return on your investment. And some folks that are moving down here that are doing it for retirement, it could be their kind of forever home, right? Or their last home. And so with that, there might not be a big need for a return on investment, but maybe they're going to leave that property to their kids or family or something. So making sure that pretty much no matter what we do, right, we got to make sure that we're buying a property that's going to give us a good return on our investment. And lakefront versus off lake, just in stereotype or in general, right, the lakefront homes are probably going to appreciate a little bit better. They're probably going to be more desirable. It's probably going to be an easier kind of sale down the future. Now, some of these off-lake options that we've been showing folks, whether they're in golf course communities or they just have that 5 acres, those are also very desirable homes, and they are selling pretty quickly too. So it all depends on mainly everything in real estate, right? Location, location, location. Depending on where you purchase the home, the type of home that you're purchasing is going to show you the return on investment whenever that time comes. So food for thought, just something to think about, lakefront versus off lake, right? No matter what, we still want to make sure that it's a good investment and a sound investment for the future. So of course, as we continue to have more and more conversations, as more and more people are reaching out, they're talking about that lakefront versus off lake option. The first thing that we're typically talking about is cost and affordability. We know that exact same home lakefront is probably going to have a little bit of a higher cost than that off lake option. We also know that there's probably more availability off lake than it's going to be on lake with the exact same home. So, if you have time to shop, then that'll be easy. If you don't have time to shop and you have to do something sooner, then that's obviously going to be a difference between whether you go lakefront or off lake. Clearly, when you're down here, you're looking at getting access to the water. So lakefront is going to have direct access. You're going to go out your back door and there's going to be the water. Clearly, if you're off lake, you're going to be looking at trying to shorten or minimize your drive time from your property down to the dock or the marina or wherever you have your boat slip. So food for thought, something to think about and consider. Maybe you can suppress the price point. Maybe there's more options. Maybe you're okay with a little bit of drive. And then, hey, if you're not and you have to be on the water and you want the access directly out your back door, hey, that's cool too. And obviously, depending on where you are right now, we're talking about elbow space and room. If you want a big property and you want to have space between you and your neighbors, then hey, there's some really great off-lake options that are going to give you a big property with a ton of elbow space and room. So, you're probably going to see more of that off lake than you are going to see on lake. And then obviously we just want to make sure no matter what we're doing that we have a sound investment, that this property is going to be a good return on investment whenever that time comes, whether you're here for a little bit and we're selling, or this is going to be a forever home and we're going to pass it down to, you know, kiddos or family or whatever that looks like. So no matter where we're purchasing, no matter what we're doing, obviously we have to make sure that it's a sound investment. And again, I say it all the time, right? We're licensed lenders and agents. I love making these videos, but I love more to help you with those lending or real estate needs. So one more time, that number popping up below, I am the guy who answers the phone calls, the text messages, and the emails. If there's a question, a scenario, or just something that I can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. And until then, we'll see you on the next video. Bye. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. I'm gonna get hit by that building. Let me fucking move this over here. That building's gonna get me with light. So I'm gonna step over here. Damn, did that just get dark? When you build, or you know, when they built on the lake, they built houses. Do that one over. Is gonna talk, or gonna type of home that you're purchasing